Welcome back to Mini Meditating Dragon Yoga video. Today we'll do a 30-minute flow for depression. For those of you who suffer through depression, I'm very sorry. I hope this flow helps improve your life even just a little bit. Now, when I'm feeling depressed, I like to start my yoga flows with a little bit of sage. It helps me in a woo-woo fashion, I suppose, get rid of any negative energies. It also kind of starts putting me in that space of releasing. And smell is a very powerful sense where when we smell those same smells, we come into a different headspace. And so my hope is that whenever I smell this sage, I can come into a more positive mindset. But that's just something I like to try. Starting the flow, we'll come into a seated position in the middle of our mat, closing the eyes, sitting up straight, and then rolling the shoulders back. Doing this rolling motion a few times, trying to release any tension that you're holding in your shoulders and your neck. Eventually coming to a neutral position and just focusing on your breath here. Blinking the eyes open, inhale, both arms up overhead. Bring the right hand down, lifting up and over with the left. Getting a nice gentle side stretch. Maybe walking your right hand out a little farther, trying to keep both hips on the ground. Inhale back to center, exhale, over to the left. Inhale back to center, over to the right once again, but we're going to add some movement here. So swinging the left arm down, walking the hands over to the left, and then switching sides. Adding a little movement to our breath. Inhale the arm up and then exhale, walking over. Then inhale the arm up. Taking one or two more rounds on each side. Meeting in the middle. Inhale, arms up overhead, interlace fingers, and then leaning over to the right, and then to the left, and then bringing the hands behind the head, then exhale, release. Making your way to a classic tabletop position, a few cat-cows here. moving very slowly with your breath, not really worrying about how you look, but how you feel. Making your way into a plank pose, moving back and forth on your toes. Squeeze the right knee into the chest, and then lower the right knee down. Inhale the left arm up. So a modified side plank here. Feel free to lift that left leg or not. And then dropping the left leg and reaching the left arm up and over for a beautiful arch. And then we're going to sit down, coming into a seated tree pose. Inhale up, exhale, folding forward. Inhale that right arm behind you, lifting back up to that modified Vashisthasana just for a moment, and then to plank. Squeeze the left leg into the chest. Lower the knee. Inhale, right arm up. Modified side plank. Maybe lifting that right leg. If it's lifted, lowering it down. Reaching that right arm up and over. And then sitting down into that seated tree pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Send that left hand behind you again. Make your way into plank pose. And then to a puppy pose, opening up the chest. Exhaling through those shoulders. Walk your hands over to the right. Walk your hands over to the left. Coming back to center. And then making your way into a Sphinx Pose. Lifting out of the shoulders. Gazing over to the right. Tilting the head back. Send your gaze over the left shoulder, tilting the head back. Coming back to center, widening your hands, and then lifting up. Taking your hands a little wider, and taking circles with the chest. If you'd rather not do this, that's totally fine. This just helps get some movement to the hips. If you'd rather stay in a Sphinx pose or a cobra, that's fine. Eventually meeting with your left cheek on the ground, being supported by your hands, and then inhale, lift the feet up. Exhale, lower, bring the right cheek down. Inhale the feet up. Exhale, lower down. Pushing back into a wide-legged child's pose. Trying to open up through those hips. We carry a lot of emotion in the hips, so trying to release them can sometimes release those depressive moments in your life, or at least the feelings attached to them. Sitting on your heels once again, we're going to do something interesting here, so feel free to watch first. We're going to plant our right hand down and then lift the hips. You don't have to lift them all the way up, even just a few inches. And then plant the left hand, then lift the hips. So this is opening up the front of the body, but it gives you lots of support. If you want this to be easier, widening your knees, or obviously don't lift up as high. Taking a few more rounds on each side. And then child's pose. We'll make our way to a pigeon pose on this side, making sure that your hips are square. We'll be staying up. If you need a little bit more support, feel free to bring a block or a pillow underneath that right bum. We'll bend the left leg, grabbing onto the left foot, working on bringing it closer to our body. As you can see here, I'm pumping the leg. Releasing the leg, inhale up, exhale, fold forward. If you'd like to have a bolster or a pillow underneath your head to give you more support, that's fine. It could also feel more comforting as well. Eventually sitting back up and then making your way into a pigeon pose on the other side. Again, making sure your hips are square. One side might be stiffer than the other, and that's okay. Again, if you need a little bit more support, feel free to bring a block underneath the left hip. And then bend the right leg, trying to bring the foot closer to the body. Releasing that right leg, inhale, make sure those hips are square, and then exhale, fold forward. Inhaling up, and then make your way into a wide-legged forward fold. If you need to have your knees bent, that's fine. Also, you can bring a block underneath your hips to help you tip your hips forward. Either plant the hands behind you and lift the chest up, or exhale, fold forward. Keeping that back flat. So your shoulders shouldn't be rounding either. So if your upper back is starting to round, go back and then try to fold forward while keeping the back flat and the shoulders flat. Being very gentle here, just opening up those hips and those hamstrings very gently. Slowly lifting yourself back up, just taking a little bit of movement here. I'm reaching for my toes. You can fold over your leg, or you can take a few twists while in this position. Very gently bringing the legs together, and then laying down on your back. Squeeze the right knee into the chest for a moment, and then coming into a half happy baby. So you're going to keep the knee bent, bind the foot with both hands, and try to pull the knee closer to the body. If that's easy for you, try to bring the knee on the outside of the body. So really opening the hip, keeping the left leg out. Then coming into a twist, bringing that right leg over the body. Then we'll switch sides. So letting the right leg to go out long, binding the left foot, bringing it closer to the body or closer to the floor. Bringing that left leg over the body for a twist. And then doing whatever you need to come into a nice relaxing Shavasana. I am getting a pillow and my weighted blanket. I highly suggest a weighted blanket for those with depression or anxiety. Ever since I got this one, I have felt so much better after a stressful day at work. I'm also lighting the sage. Once again, put me in that mind space. But you can light a candle or anything else, just making sure you're very careful, not falling asleep or letting a open flame stay on. Getting nice and comfortable and relaxing down for a Shavasana. Starting to become more aware of your surroundings. Bring your attention back to the room. Starting with small movements. Taking notice of how your body feels. If it feels cold or warm. Stiff or relaxed. And then eventually meeting in a seated position with your hands and heart center. Thank you for sharing your energy with me today. Namaste. I hope you feel better. I hope you can find the little joys in your life again. Feel free to repeat this yoga flow as often as you would like.